The history of China, from ancient civilizations to modern superpower. China, one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations, boasts a history spanning over 5,000 years. From the early dynasties and the unification under the Qin, through the rise of Confucianism, the power of imperial China, and the impact of colonialism, to its transformation into a communist state and global superpower, China's history is marked by innovation, cultural influence, conflict, and resilience. This comprehensive video traces China's long and complex history, detailing the events, figures, and philosophies that have shaped the course of this vast and influential nation. Ancient China, prehistory to the early dynasties. Prehistoric China c. 5000 BC to 2000 BC. The history of China begins with its prehistoric societies, dating back to the Neolithic period. The earliest known cultures include the Yangshao and Longshan civilizations, which existed along the Yellow River Valley around 5000 BC. These early cultures engaged in agriculture, domestication of animals, and pottery production, laying the foundations for Chinese society. The transition from prehistory to recorded history began with the Xia Dynasty c. 2070 to 1600 BC, which is traditionally regarded as the first Chinese dynasty. Although archaeological evidence of the Xia Dynasty is sparse, it is described in ancient texts as a time of semi-mythical rulers and the establishment of early forms of Chinese governance. Shang Dynasty 1610–46 BC. The Shang Dynasty is the first Chinese dynasty for which there is concrete archaeological evidence. The Shang rulers established their capital near modern-day Anyang and developed a highly organized state. The Shang are known for their advancements in bronze casting, oracle bone inscriptions, the earliest form of Chinese writing, and a highly developed urban culture. Religious practices during this time were centered on ancestor worship and rituals for divination. Zhou Dynasty 1046–56 BC. The fall of the Shang led to the rise of the Zhou Dynasty, which would become the longest-lasting dynasty in Chinese history. The Zhou introduced the concept of the mandate of heaven, which held that rulers were divinely chosen to govern but could be overthrown if they failed to rule justly. The Zhou period is traditionally divided into two phases: the Western Zhou 1046–771 BC, when the Zhou kings held significant power, and the Eastern Zhou 770–256 BC, marked by the weakening of central authority and the rise of regional warlords. The Eastern Zhou era, particularly the spring and autumn periods 770–476 BC and the Warring States period 475–21 BC, saw intense conflict but also great intellectual flourishing. It was during this time that many of China's most influential philosophers emerged, including Confucius, who emphasized ethics, proper behavior, and the importance of family; Laozi, the founder of Taoism, who advocated living in harmony with the natural order; and Mozi, whose philosophy of universal love and meritocracy influenced Chinese thought. The Qin and Han dynasties, unification, and the rise of imperial China. Qin Dynasty to 21–106 BC. The Qin Dynasty, although short-lived, played a crucial role in shaping China's history. The first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, unified China into 21 BC after the chaotic Warring States period, establishing the first centralized imperial state. Qin Shi Huang is credited with several significant achievements, including the standardization of the writing system, currency, and measurements across the empire. His most famous projects were the construction of the Great Wall to protect against northern invaders and his Grand Mausoleum, guarded by the famous Terracotta Army. However, Qin Shi Huang's rule was also marked by harsh legalist policies and authoritarian control. His regime suppressed dissent through censorship and persecution, including the infamous burning of Confucian texts. The Qin dynasty collapsed shortly after his death, but it laid the foundation for China's imperial system. Han Dynasty 206 BC to 220 C. The fall of the Qin led to the rise of the Han Dynasty, one of China's most glorious and influential periods. Under the Han, China expanded its territory, established long-lasting institutions, and saw the rise of Confucianism as the state ideology. Emperor Wu of Han 141–87 BC greatly expanded the empire's borders through military campaigns, securing China's dominance in East Asia. The Han Dynasty also oversaw the opening of the Silk Road, which facilitated trade between China and the West, spreading Chinese goods, culture, and ideas far beyond its borders. During this time, major technological advances were made, including the invention of paper and significant improvements in ironworking. The Han Dynasty is often considered a golden age of Chinese civilization. Its bureaucratic system, based on merit and Confucian education, set a model for future dynasties. However, the later Han period was marked by political instability, corruption, and rebellion, leading to the eventual fall of the dynasty into 20 C and the onset of a period of disunity. The period of disunion and the rise of the Sui and Tang dynasties. Three Kingdoms and Northern and Southern dynasties to 20 to 589 C. After the fall of the Han, China entered a long period of political fragmentation known as the Three Kingdoms period to 20 to 280 C, followed by the Northern and Southern dynasties for 20 to 589 C. During this era, China was divided into competing states, and the central authority of the emperor was weakened. Despite the political instability, this period was rich in cultural and intellectual development. Buddhism, introduced to China from India during the Han Dynasty, gained significant influence, and many advances were made in art, literature, and philosophy. Sui Dynasty 581 to 618 C. The Sui Dynasty reunited China in 581 C under the rule of Emperor Wen. Although the Sui Dynasty was short-lived, it is remembered for its ambitious construction projects, including the Grand Canal, which connected the north and south of China, facilitating trade and communication. The Sui also laid the groundwork for the flourishing of the Tang Dynasty, though their harsh rule and heavy taxation led to widespread rebellion, and the dynasty's collapse in 618 C. Tang and Song dynasties, a golden age of culture and innovation. Tang Dynasty 618 to 907 C. The Tang Dynasty is often regarded as the height of Chinese civilization, a period of unprecedented cultural, technological, and economic achievements. The Tang emperors expanded China's influence through military conquests, extending the empire's borders into Central Asia. The Silk Road continued to flourish, allowing for the exchange of goods, ideas, and religions, including Buddhism, which reached its peak in China during this period. The Tang era was also a golden age for Chinese art, poetry, and literature, with famous poets like Li Bai and Du Fu producing works that are still celebrated today. The government of the Tang Dynasty was highly centralized and efficient, with the civil service examination system playing a key role in recruiting talented officials based on merit. Despite its cultural achievements, the Tang Dynasty faced internal challenges, including rebellions like the Anlushan Rebellion 755–763 CE, which weakened the state. The dynasty eventually fell in 907 CE, leading to another period of political fragmentation. Song Dynasty 960–1279 CE. After the fall of the Tang, China was divided once again until the establishment of the Song Dynasty in 960 CE. The Song Dynasty is known for its remarkable advancements in technology, science, and economic development. During this period, China saw the invention of gunpowder, movable type printing, and the use of paper money. Economically, the Song era was marked by the growth of commerce, urbanization, and the development of a sophisticated market economy. The Song rulers also promoted education and the arts, leading to the further refinement of Confucianism into a more philosophical and ethical system, known as Neo-Confucianism. Despite these achievements, the Song dynasty struggled to defend its northern borders against powerful nomadic invaders. In 1279, the Song dynasty fell to the Mongol Empire, marking the beginning of China's first foreign-led dynasty. Mongol rule and the Ming Dynasty. Yuan Dynasty 1271–1368 CE. The Mongols, under the leadership of Kublai Khan, established the Yuan Dynasty in 1271, ruling China as part of the vast Mongol Empire. Kublai Khan moved the capital to Beijing and adopted many aspects of Chinese governance, but Mongol rule was often resented by the Chinese population due to heavy taxation and ethnic discrimination. Despite these challenges, the Yuan period was a time of significant cultural exchange, with China interacting more directly with the wider world. Marco Polo, the Venetian traveler, visited the Yuan court and wrote about China, sparking European interest in the East. However, widespread discontent with Mongol rule, coupled with natural disasters and economic problems, led to the rise of rebel movements. In 1368, the Mongols were overthrown, and the Ming Dynasty was established. Ming Dynasty 1368–1640 for CE. The Ming Dynasty restored Chinese rule and is remembered for its strong centralized government, economic prosperity, and cultural achievements. The early Ming emperors, particularly Yongle, expanded Chinese influence abroad, most famously through the maritime expeditions of the Admiral Zheng He, who led a series of voyages across the Indian Ocean, reaching as far as East Africa. Domestically, the Ming oversaw significant advances in agriculture, industry, and trade, as well as the construction of the Forbidden City in Beijing. The dynasty also fortified and expanded the Great Wall to defend against northern invaders. Despite its successes, the Ming Dynasty eventually fell due to internal corruption, economic difficulties, and external threats from the Manchus, who would go on to establish the Qing Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty and the fall of Imperial China. Qing Dynasty 1640–1912 CE. The Qing Dynasty, established by the Manchus, was the last imperial dynasty of China. The early Qing emperors, such as Kangxi and Qianlong, presided over a period of territorial expansion and cultural flourishing. The Qing ruled over the largest empire in Chinese history, incorporating Tibet, Xinjiang, Mongolia, and Taiwan. However, the Qing dynasty faced significant challenges in the 19th century, particularly from Western imperial powers. The Opium Wars 1839–1842 and 1856–1860 resulted in humiliating defeats for China and the signing of unequal treaties that ceded territory to foreign powers and opened Chinese ports to Western trade. Internal rebellions, such as the Taiping Rebellion 1850–1864, further weakened the Qing. Efforts to modernize, such as the self-strengthening movement, were largely unsuccessful in the face of foreign pressure and conservative resistance. The final blow to the Qing came with the Boxer Rebellion 1899–1901, an anti-foreign uprising that was crushed by an international coalition, further eroding Qing authority. In 1911, widespread dissatisfaction with Qing rule led to the Xinhai Revolution, which resulted in the abdication of the last emperor, Hui, in 1912, and the establishment of the Republic of China. Republic of China and the rise of the Communist Party. The Republic of China 1912–1949. The fall of the Qing Dynasty marked the end of over 2,000 years of imperial rule. The Republic of China, led by Sun Yat-sen and his Kuomintang KMT party, sought to modernize China and create a democratic state. However, the Republic was plagued by internal conflict, warlordism, and external threats. In the 1920s, the Chinese Communist Party CCP was founded, and tensions between the KMT and CCP soon erupted into civil war. This conflict was interrupted by the Japanese invasion of China during World War II, but it resumed after Japan's defeat in 1945. In 1949, after years of bloody conflict, the CCP, under the leadership of Mao Zedong, emerged victorious and established the People's Republic of China on the mainland. The KMT retreated to Taiwan, where they continued to claim legitimacy as the government of China. Modern China, from Mao to global superpower. Mao Zedong and the early communist era 1949–1976. Mao Zedong's leadership brought radical changes to China. His early policies focused on land reforms and collectivization, but the Great Leap Forward 1958–1962, an attempt to rapidly industrialize China, resulted in widespread famine and millions of deaths. In the 1960s, Mao launched the Cultural Revolution 1966–1976, a campaign to purge perceived enemies of the Communist Party and promote radical socialist ideals. The Cultural Revolution led to widespread chaos, the persecution of intellectuals, and severe damage to China's cultural heritage. Post-Mao reforms and China's economic rise 1978–present. After Mao's death in 1976, Deng Xiaoping emerged as China's new leader and implemented sweeping economic reforms. Deng's policies of reform and opening up transformed China from a centrally planned economy into a more market-oriented one, leading to rapid economic growth. In the decades that followed, China experienced unprecedented industrialization, urbanization, and economic expansion. By the 21st century, China had become the world's second-largest economy and a major global power. While the Communist Party maintained strict political control, China embraced globalization, becoming a key player in international trade and diplomacy. The country also invested heavily in infrastructure, technology, and military modernization. Conclusion. China's history is one of remarkable continuity and change. From its ancient dynasties to its current role as a global superpower, China's civilization has endured through periods of unity and division, innovation and stagnation, isolation and engagement with the world. Today, China continues to navigate the challenges of modernization, balancing its rich historical legacy with its aspirations for the future.